Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Aarna Sahu, host of Aarna's News, where on this podcast channel, I aim to eliminate the gender gap in the STEM fields by featuring inspiring female professionals and highlighting their stories and accomplishments to further encourage girls. Today on episode 49.
So technology changes very fast. You have to be very hungry for knowledge, very curious for what's going on out there, somebody who always wants to know the latest and greatest, because as you probably already know, crypto will be today, AI will be tomorrow, and something else will be the day after, right? It changes so much, so you have to be a person who wants to continue to learn. And if the person I'm talking to is a female, I would say on top of all of that, I would say never second guess yourself.
Today on episode 49, I'm pleased to announce our guest, Mercedes Soria. As the Executive Vice President, Chief Intelligence Officer at Knightscope, a company that builds autonomous security robots in order to give the best amount of security possible, as a passionate woman in STEM and gender equality, she's also an executive mentor for the Department of State's Tech Women Initiative and is also a member of the U.S. Department of State Speaker Program. Committed to empowering women globally, she also writes for Forbes. So thank you so much, Mercedes, for being here today. Before we dive into the questions, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for the intro. It was awesome. There's not much more to say. I'm excited to be here, and one of my goals in life is to promote and to have more women get into technology. So I love to talk about that. It's one of my most favorite topics.
Yeah, I'm super excited that we have the same mission in line. So my first question for you is, tell us a bit about your career path.
My career path, I was originally born in South America, and I was about 10 years old when my uncle, who lived in Canada, he brought a computer that was called the Commodore 64. You might or might not have heard of it. It's quite old, but we started playing games, and you could also do some basic programming language there, and I started to get more interested in it. And then after that, I read a series of books called the Foundation series by a guy named Isaac Asimov. It was it's kind of a science fiction, really, still is science fiction, but it kind of taught me what technology can do for not just human race, but for a whole galaxy based on that book. And I got interested in technology. Now, when I want to choose a career in the university, I knew it had to be something related to physics and math. But I wasn't just sure exactly what it was, because I could have been an architect. I wanted to be an architect for about 3 or 4 years. Then I wanted to be an engineer, civil engineer, and things like that. But then when it was time to choose, I was there with my twin sister and my mother. And my sister already picked what she wanted to study, because in Ecuador you pick that the first day in your college. You don't do basic studies like you do here in the US. So when you sign up for your career. And I went like, social studies, no. Chemistry, no. Math, no. Pure physics, no. And the only thing that was left on my list was computer science. That's how I ended up in computer science. So, and now in hindsight, it was the best decision I ever made. And I had a mother who was very, very supportive. She said, you pick whatever you're going to be good at and whatever you like, and I will support you 100%. Because when I was picking computer science, there were very few women picking that career. It was like a long line of men, and there was like 2 of us. So it wasn't the popular thing for women, but that's how it started. And then when I finished my college, I got the opportunity to come to the United States to study. So I got a bachelor's degree in Middle Tennessee State University, if you've ever heard of it. It was a good school. I got a master's and a bachelor's and a master's degree, both in computer science. And I focus more on the artificial intelligence area of computer science. Then I got a job here, and believe it or not, I had a master's in AI, and the only job I was able to get was updating websites. So it wasn't very exciting at all. But I was an international student and I had to get a visa. So back in the time, you used to have to print all your resumes and mail them into companies that had openings. So I mailed about 100 resumes. I got 3 phone calls for an interview. And out of the 3 interviews, I got one job offer, and that was it. So I had to take it. And like they say, there is this history. So that's how I ended up being here. So I'm very thankful to that company. The company was Gibson Musical Instruments. They do make a lot of, they're a manufacturing company. They make musical instruments, in my opinion, the best in the world. But they gave me a job as a website manager, and that was that. So after that, I decided, okay, what else can I do? I know how to code, I know how to program. So I kind of networked my way into the CEO of the company, and they were at the time still using paper and pencils to write accounting, to write how the guitars were made, all the inventory, everything like that. And now, so I presented a case to the CEO directly. I was like, I can automate all your work. I can put you on the World Wide Web. All of your systems will be up to date. You will never have to use paper. Any report you have to do, you can click on a button. I did everything I could to sell that to him. And he seemed to like it. So he let me do it. So he let me bring the company to the newest technology that there was at the time and to hire a team that will actually help me do that. So in the end, I brought them from paper and pencil to a whole enterprise resource planning system. And then after that, I moved to Deloitte, which is a consulting company. And I did a lot of things like just typical programming type of projects, like CRM, ERP, PLM, human resources, ethics, compliance, those things. And I after that I moved to Knightscope. I was part of the founding team of Knightscope, and that's where I actually got to apply my artificial intelligence background. So it took me 10 years to be able to get to that. And now I'm very happy where I am. I love my job, and we're doing something good for the country. Our goal is to make the United States of America the safest country in the world, and we're getting there.
I love how enthusiastic you are about your work. I mean, although it took you a very long time to get there, you're really happy and you're shining right now. And yeah, I'm really happy with what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so my next question for you is what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours? And do you have any tips to succeed?
So technology changes very fast. You have to be very hungry for knowledge, very curious for what's going on out there. Somebody who always wants to know the latest and greatest because, as you probably already know, crypto will be today, AI will be tomorrow, and something else will be the day after, right? It changes so much. So you have to be a person who wants to continue to learn. And if I'm the person I'm talking to is a female, I would say, on top of all of that, I would say never second guess yourself because there's a lot of guys in college, at work, even in your whole career, there's got a lot of men who would say, oh, but you don't know enough about that, and you have to prove yourself time after time after time. But that's just what's happening in the world. That's what we people like me have got to do. And the only way to get to where you want to get is by putting in the work. So never second guess yourself and do the work that you need to do to get to where you want to get to.
Okay, so because when you're actually in like the industry and you're a female especially, you feel like, you're not it, or you get the imposter syndromic type of things because you feel like, oh, if so many other people here can do it better than me, then I don't think I'm fit for this place. So just knowing that that's just you talking and just knowing that you can actually fulfill the job is something that you should definitely keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you that I have my own imposter syndrome story, and I will tell you what it is. So when I was at Deloitte, it was time for, there was an opening for 2 managers. And I was still a senior engineer. So I did all my homework. I took leadership classes, I took management classes, and then I applied for the job. And I got the job. And then another guy who applied got for a job, and he was a white male, typical middle age, all those things. And then he came to me and said, Mercedes, the only reason why you got the job is because you're an international person, you're female, you're in technology, so all those minority gaps had to be filled for HR to be happy. Otherwise, you wouldn't have this job because you're not good enough for it. So for 1 second, I was like, is this guy right? For like 1 second. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna prove this guy wrong. And that's what I did. And guess what? When I left the company, he had already been fired 2 years before I left the company. And I left because I wanted to. He actually got fired. So yeah, I guess karma's kind of pretty bad.
I That's actually mind-boggling. He said that to you,
He
and
openly said that to me. It's like right to my face. Didn't even say it behind my back. He was to my face, and I was still kind of sort of shy at that time. So I just stood there. I didn't think of it, and then I turned around and left. And then it took me about 5 minutes, and then I was like, nope. I'm gonna prove this guy wrong. I can do this, and I will do it well, better than he will, and I did.
yes. And this is a great segue to my next question, which is what is a common myth about your profession that you want to debunk?
Oh my goodness. I think the greatest one of them is all of technologists are nerds. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. And because in my case, I'll give you one example. My hobby is ballroom dancing. So, and during the day, I'm coding, I'm reading artificial intelligence, I'm leading my team, I'm doing things. And then when 5 o'clock hits, I am going to the studio and I'm dancing for about 2 or 3 hours a day. And not only that, but I competed in ballroom dance competitions here in the US, and I have 2 United States titles. So you can do the things that could be completely opposite in somebody's radar, but you can. And I know, and I have a lot of people that I know in my studio that are actually engineers. So people should know that we can do all these things and they could be the same person.
Yeah, I mean, when I was creating this podcast channel, a lot of people thought the typical stigma that, oh, STEM is only for guys. And coming from a family of software engineers, a little, my ego was a little bruised, so I wanted to fix that for them. And I started like figuring out how I could help those around me. And yeah, boom, this podcast kind of was formed.
This is awesome. It's great. I'm so glad you created it because if we can help one person by listening to this podcast, it would be all worth it.
Yes. And that is basically the goal of it. So thank you so much for doing that.
Congrats for doing it at such a young age, man. When I was your age, I wasn't thinking about these things. So awesome that you're doing it.
Thank you. And this is another great segue to my next question, which is if you could step into my shoes or your younger self, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
Hmm. I would ask myself, why do you do what you do? And the answer for that is I do what I do because I believe in lofty goals. You might not know this, but there's studies that have been conducted where it's been found out that the larger the goal that a person has, the more creative they can get. So, in my opinion, I like to do things that are lofty, things that make a difference, things that challenge me every day. And that's what keeps me going. And technology changes so much that it's challenged to stay up to date on it. And I kind of like that part of technology.
Yeah, I mean, well, I really like what you said that why do you do what you want to do? Because a lot of people, at least for me as a student, we think that, oh, we are doing something just for people to think that we should be doing that because we're kind of pushed to do it by external factors. But just knowing what you actually want as a person and just being true to yourself, because that kind of creativity is going to come when you're truly happy. So just being open with yourself and just figuring out what you actually want and not what those around you would prefer.
Yeah, and there's a saying by Jeff Bezos. He said one time something like, "If you don't love your job, you will never be great at it." And I truly believe that. You have to love what you're doing. If you don't, you're never gonna be the people that people write books about. You just have to love it. And I think that technology is a very demanding career. It really is because it changes so much. So you have to be able to give that commitment that the career actually requires.
Yeah. And what are the best resources slash books that have helped you find your career path?
So there's an organization that I really love, and I would recommend any woman in technology to be a member of. It's called the Anita B organization. So it's anitab.org, and it's an organization for only for women technologies around the world. And they have a conference every year. It's called the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Technology. And last year, I think they had 22,000 women that came to the conference. They gave me an award, I think in 18 or 19, 2018 or 2019. And I had to speak in front of 18,000 women. I thought that was a lot. And then I found out last year that there were 22,000 women there. And the only goal is to network, meet each other, go to the different presentations, learn what's going on in technology. They have a bunch of companies that come and present there because they want to bring more women into their companies who know about technology. It's a wonderful event. It's very difficult to get tickets to though, so you gotta be early. I think the tickets sell out in about 45 minutes. So the person who wants to go to that conference, they need to like sign up in the website, anitaB.org, sign up and then be very fast in your emails, because when you get that email that says registration is open, you gotta go. So it's amazing that not only helps you find mentors, it helps you find women that are also trying to do what you're trying to do, and who knows, you might even get a job at a new company there. So I do. That's a great organization. Also, I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of listening to podcasts. So I listen to about 100 podcasts. So there's 100 in my phone, let's say that, and I listen to as many as possible as I can. Some of them are, for example, Stack Overflow, if you've heard of it, which is basically a coding. How do you code, right? How do you stay up to date with new techniques and what people are doing? So that's the type of podcast I listen to, and also podcast about new companies in Silicon Valley, what's going on, what new technology companies, and also I like to read books. I read a lot of books. So I'll tell you a couple that I just finished that were very exciting for me because I'm in a lot into artificial intelligence and I've been for so long. So one book is called Super Intelligence. Is a book by, what's his name? Nick Bostrom, I think is his name. And there's a book called The Singularity is Near, by Ray Kurzweil. And those two books talk about, they're kind of opposite on sides, because one of them talks about what would be the great thing that will happen in the world, how much technology and AI will help the world and make humans a lot happier and healthier and live longer, things like that. But the other book actually talks about what will happen if we develop artificial intelligence and the artificial intelligence turns against humans. So they're not fiction books, they are theoretical books. So I read about one book a week, so it's about 50 books a year. So there's a lot of information that comes between these 2 years. Some of it comes out and some of it stays. But I think that's really the resources that I use to stay up to date in what's happening in technology and what are the areas that I would like to learn more about.
That's an amazing habit, reading a book each week. Oh my gosh, I read like a book like every 3 months, but I
I
mean,
give you a secret. So I don't actually read. I do audiobooks. So I get up at 7 a.m. every morning. I'm a night owl. I stay up until 12:01 p.m. 12:01 a.m. And I'm up at 7 a.m. And the first thing I do when I get up is go grab my phone, put on my headphones, and I walk for an hour. And I listen to an hour of whatever book I'm reading. And that puts me in the good mind frame to get up, to get ready for the work, and to know that there's exciting stuff coming up. And the majority of the books, I don't read much fiction. I read a lot of business books, coding books, AI books. And the majority of books are actually about 12 hours or so. So if you work 6 days, 7 days a week for an hour, you kind of get to that book by the end of the week. But there's some like super intelligence. That's a long book. It's 24 hours book. So that one took me a little longer. It's a long book, but it was a very good book. It was worth reading it. So I look for books that have a lot of AI information there that I can use in my job every day.
Yeah. Can you repeat what the conference name was?
Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Technology. So if you go to Anita, ANITAB as in boy, .org, the first thing you're going to find there is the Grace Hopper Celebration. That's the Anita B is the organization that puts together the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Technology.
That's super cool. I mean, that conference, that just makes me want to go there. So I'm going to definitely check it out. And listeners, you better go there too.
Yeah, you have to go. It's a bit, once you've gone there, you're completely changed. You'll be like, oh my God, there's so many women like me. We're all in the same boat. We're all trying to help each other. Is a great organization, and just seeing how many companies, these are Fortune 500 companies, they go there to try to meet more women and bring them to their companies is way worth going there.
All right. And I will definitely check it out. Okay.
Awesome.
So my next question for you is, what do you think is a vital factor that shaped your career? What was your life before learning it? And what was your life after learning it?
So for me, technology was something that I kind of had like I always liked. Once I started my first semester in college, I realized, oh, great, I picked the right career because I really like it. So I stayed in computer science, and then I saw that we can help companies be more effective. We can help systems give people the information that they need. We can sell books. We can do a lot of things with technology. And that was okay. I was okay with that. But then my life changed the day I realized that we can actually do a lot of good in the world with technology. And that happened when I started working on Knightscope. I was part of the funding team. I was employee number 3. So I was there with the 2 founders when we started the company. And we decided what are we going to use and what kind of company are we going to create. We knew it was going to be in security, but we were trying to figure out what technology would fit what we're trying to do. So we decided to use robotics and AI to help companies become more secure because there's a shortage of security guards and there's a shortage of police officers, at least in the United States. So some of those companies either don't get monitored or they have to pay over time for the security guards that they can finally get. So we build robots that do the job of a security guard, but have a better memory because they can record everything. They never take a sick day. They don't go on vacation. They don't need benefits. So we don't sell it as a robot that will take the place of a security guard. We sell it as a robot that can enhance the job of a security guard with all those eyes, ears, and things that the robot has. So when I started working on Knightscope and I realized that we can actually do so much good. What would you think if somebody says the safest country in the world is the United States? Wouldn't that be awesome? And that's when I realized, okay, we can make a change. Things can change. We can make the future better. That's when my career changed and my focus changed. And that even made me even more excited for what I was doing.
Yeah, it was your perspective that really made you more excited with what you do. And I think it also goes back to being true to yourself and just finding out what you actually enjoy. Because when you said that you liked how you chose computer science as your major, that interest and excitement kind of propelled you to the rest of your career and kind of brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, the problem that I have is I don't think I'll ever retire because I like it so much. So I'm like, I'll be 80 and I'll still be reading about this stuff. So
I mean, that shows how excited you are about your work. So that's an amazing thing.
yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping that we can help other women be just as excited, if not more.
Yes. And because we have some additional time, my next question for you is, what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career path?
I think I wish I would have known a lot sooner how quickly technology changes. So one thing, it's since the 70s has been an amazing amount of change. But in one of the books I was reading, they were saying that in the next 20 years, the world would change more than it did in the last 3,000 years. And it's whole thanks to technology. So just to be part of the change, be part of how the world will look tomorrow, it's just an amazing thing. It's exciting in my view for anyone who wants to pursue this career.
Yeah, because I mean, with what we've seen right now with ChatGPT, something that's actually amazing in my opinion.
Oh yes, absolutely. Did you get Chat GPT-4 or are you in Chat GPT? Let's see.
Just I'm using the normal one. I mean, I don't really know which version it is, but it is amazing. Oh my gosh, it
You're
just writes
using
everything.
3.5. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it's
I I
wonderful.
I started to use it and I got by Google. I never Google anything anymore because I just use GPT.
It just mind blowing. And yeah, just that's an example of how technology is really changing and just knowing that you can be a part of it and just knowing that you have a say in what can happen and you can propel the world for a better place.
Yeah, and there's this one topic that I'm interested in that I hope to work on in the future. Whether it's probably a different company or my current company, but have you heard of nanobots? So
Nope.
they're tiny, tiny robots that are the size of a grain of rice, but they have so much technology inside them that they can inject things into your body. These little nanobots. Obviously, some people might not want to do that, but I'm just talking about myself, right? So you might have an artery that is clogged. You can just they inject a nanobot into your vein. The nanobot finds your clogged artery, gets rid of the fat, comes out. You're done. You no longer have a heart attack. It's amazing. So all of that is coming. And another book I read said that if you manage to live until 2045, which hopefully we all do, there's going to be so many nanobots that come and cure so many different ailments in people's bodies, like your glucose problems, your kidney problems, your heart problems, that people might live forever. Think about
Yeah.
that. Think about that. If you never get sick because your blood gets cleaned every time you go have a session with your nanobots, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's actually amazing. I've never heard of nanobots before, but that's definitely going to be something to check out on my to-do list. Um, can you mention the name of that book?
Which one?
The book about nanobots.
It's called The Singularity is Near, and it's by Ray Kurzweil.
Okay.
It's Kurzweil.
All right, I will definitely check it out.
And that's actually not a very long one, so that's a good one.
And my next question for you is how do you continue to learn in order to stay on top of things within your role?
I think we kind of covered that a bit. So there's about 100 podcasts in my phone, and there's about, last time I checked, there was 655 books in my phone. So I try to learn a lot. I read a lot of websites. I do TechCrunch, and there I always cover new companies because that's another interest of mine. What's coming up with new technology? So they cover a lot of startups. I'm an advisor to a startup actually. They're in the AI space for marketing. So the company is called Autobound, and what they do is they use AI to generate automated email marketing messages that a salesperson would have to normally write. So instead of you as a salesperson having to go look up, hey, what happened in Mercedes company? I need to email her again. Did anything happen in the last 60 days? So that's what Autobahn does. They go out to the web, search, did anything happen? Yes, her company went public. Yeah, write an email about that, and all the salesperson has to do is click send. So I was very excited about it, and I accepted to be in their. I've been in their board of advisors team for about almost 2 years, and I'm excited about what they're working on.
Whoa, that's so cool. I mean, that's an amazing goal because I mean, it takes like a lot of hard activity off of like normal humans and artificial intelligence just proves to be amazing.
Exactly. And guess what? We're coming up with our ChatGPT version as well. So
Yes. Yes, I'm super
getting into
excited.
that API, which is now available.
Yes, I will definitely get it. And my next question for you, which is also the last one, is do you have any quotes or mottos that you love to follow and would like to share?
I think I share one. The one from Jeff Bezos always seems true. If you don't love your work, you're not gonna be great at it. So it's as I cannot emphasize that enough. People have to choose what makes them think, what they're excited about, what they can see themselves doing for 50 years if they have to. There's a cliche one that says, if you do what you like, work will never feel like work. I'm not sure about that because there's still days in which you're like, oh man, I have to go to work. As excited as you might be, you still have to go to work. So that's one. But there's one by my CEO actually that I heard. Like he says it often, and I really enjoy it. It says something down the lines of, "Life is short. Do what you love. Make a great impact." So I love that saying and I'll steal it for now. I really like it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here, Mercedes. Before we end off, do you have any last words to the audience?
Yes, especially, hey, this podcast could also be listened to by men. So great, awesome. But for those girls and women out there, don't ever second guess yourself. You're just as good or better than any man out there. So just keep at it and show your worth and show what you can do.
And here are my 3 cents on the episode with Mercedes. 1. The importance of curiosity and adaptability in the technology field. Mercedes emphasizes the need to stay curious and adaptable because technology evolves rapidly. And she also mentions that what is popular today may not be tomorrow, so it's crucial to keep learning and exploring new areas. This mindset is especially important for those pursuing a career in technology. 2. The challenging stereotypes. Mercedes debunks the myths that all technologists are nerds by sharing her passion for ballroom dancing. She highlights the importance of pursuing diverse interests and breaking stereotypes associated with careers in technology. This showcases the multifaceted nature of individuals in the field. And 3. The significance of lofty goals. Mercedes believes in setting lofty goals and embracing challenges. She mentions that having big goals can fuel creativity and drive. This perspective has shaped her career and keeps her motivated in the ever-changing world of technology. Thus, that concludes the episode for this week. If you want to know more about how I relate to these amazing topics, then stay tuned for upcoming episodes. A free way to support this show is by leaving it a 5-star rating and a review on the player you are listening to. Let me know what you enjoy about this podcast, as it's a chance to tell me what you love about the show, and it helps others discover it too. Once again, thank you for finding me, and I hope we stay in touch with each other. Dito, you're listening to Aarna Sahu, the host of Aarna's News. Toodles!